Ladies and gentlemen, hello there, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I am, of course, Mr. Warren Hayes, and it's Friday. Warren, what are you doing? You're supposed to come out of the box only at the start of the week on Mondays and Tuesdays. Why are you here? Why are you live on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes right now, Warren? Well, that's because we have a pay-per-view this weekend. Imaginary fictional person that I'm speaking to who is apparently bothered by the fact that I'm doing a stream on Fridays. Well, I'm here because tomorrow we have a TakeOver, an NXT TakeOver event, TakeOver 25, and as per usual, as the kids say, I am joined by someone, and I am joined today by my pal, Harmony. How you doing, Harmony?
I'm good. I'm touched that I'm your pal. That's very exciting.
Yeah. Yes, you are. We are pals. We you've been on the show before. You're one of the very few recurring guests who feel like they can stomach my presence long enough to come back here. And we also share and we're both involved in Bell to Bells, and we've worked together at Daily. Why don't you tell people? Well, here I am, talking about your CV, your resume, your resume. Why don't you tell us a little bit? Tell the good folks who the hell you are.
Okay, who the hell am I? No pressure. So I am Harmony Cox. I am a writer. I live in Columbus, Ohio. I write for Bell to Bells, which an awesome website. You all should be reading it. We're active on Twitter. I do some reviews of women's wrestling shows on there. I have a couple of articles coming out in the next couple of weeks I'm really excited about. It's a great resource, especially if you're interested in more independent women's wrestling, because we're really focusing on that, highlighting promos like Shimmer and Eve and Stardom, and we're going to start writing about Sendai Girls. And sorry, I'm just super excited about it because I love women's wrestling, so it's awesome. So I write for that site. I write for Daily DDT, and I have a podcast called Head Over Heels with my good friend Meryl Williams, where we talk about the Netflix show Glow. I take it on as a wrestling writer. She takes it on as a TV writer and critic. And yes, season 3 was just announced today for August. We're super excited about it, especially because I'm not 100% sure, but is Awesome Kong actually an active wrestler at this point with AEW, or was that like a one-time thing? Do you know?
I'm not quite sure. Maybe folks in the chat know this because we do have a chat. We have a live chat. Yeah. We're recording this live, Harmony. People are actually tuning in and watching us, listening to us on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. We got a nice packed house here. You want to know who's here? I'll tell you who's here. You got Kristen Ashley, who is the editor-in-chief of my heart and of Bell to Bells.com as well. You have Kevin Carroll, who's here, Robert Larry, Brian Payne, whole bunch of friends of the show here. Chris Spizak of the Spies and the Benchmark Show, who I'm really glad to see, and I feel terrible. I'm just going to put this out there real quick. I love Spies and the Benchmark. Chris and Silky are fantastic, and because of real life shenanigans, now we're constantly in conflict with each other when we do our streams. I can't go see them, they can't come see me, and it's a bummer because I like I'd call in on occasion. They've even invited me a few times on their show. They're great fellas, and I'm glad Chris is here. It makes me feel good. At least I know he doesn't completely hate my guts. We also have Oriana75, Vape Russ, Vape Carlos, also known as Sports and Things, is here as well. CM Phil and Joe Anthony, RJ, Bob Baruski, holy crap, Jason PS3, Chris Jeter. The hell, someone dragged Jeter out of the closet today. When I say it's a packed house, Dale Campbell, I think we should just end the stream here. I'm completely exhausted after having read all of these people. But thank you everyone for popping in on this Friday evening. Very, very glad that you're here. And if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this on demand later on YouTube, feel free to give a thumbs up on the video. It always helps. YouTube likes that kind of stuff. It lets it know that my stuff is worth watching, if only because of my excellent guests. And also, as you may know, the Mr. Warren Hayes Show is available on podcast applications as well: Apple, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean, Castbox, Himalaya, Podcoin. It's there. You just search for the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, and you can listen to it there. Subscribe, like, enjoy, just like we are going to enjoy, quite possibly, TakeOver 25 this weekend, because I find it's hard, it's difficult to not like an NXT TakeOver. They're synonymous with quality, good times, enjoyable wrestling, fun action. And this is 25, and I find it's weird. And I'm just throwing this out there, and I find it's weird, Harmony, that they're calling it TakeOver 25, and they're doing the Romans. They're doing the Roman numerals, where it's usually you do it for years, right? Like if they've been doing it for 25 years, you do the Roman numerals, but it's 25 because it's the 25th TakeOver. It hasn't been 25 years of TakeOvers. It's kind of weird, don't you think? Especially when you consider like WrestleMania is only up at 35, that they put a number on TakeOver. I don't know.
Yeah, it's got like kind of a weird Super Bowl vibe, like TakeOver 25, and
Yeah,
it feels very sportsy, which I guess is the point. I feel like since there's not really a reason for this takeover to be happening right now, they had to attach it to something.
I guess.
And the best hook was, this is a 25th one, so we'll do that, because like there's really literally no other reason it's happening. So TakeOver 25. There we go.
And yeah, because otherwise it's like it's from Connecticut. What city? Hang on, I'm pulling it up because I don't remember.
Oh yeah, I have no idea.
TakeOver 25 is hailing from Bridgeport. So
Okay.
So it doesn't have TakeOver Bridgeport doesn't have quite the panache as TakeOver Brooklyn or TakeOver Chicago.
It feels like it would be a feat to take over Brooklyn. Like that would take some effort.
Yeah.
I don't know how hard it would be to take over Bridgeport.
Yeah, exactly. Probably everyone would be like, "Oh, please, yes, please do come over here," and probably serve like tea and some Earl Grey as everyone arrives. Get some warm towels for their feet. I don't know. As we and one of the reasons, you said it yourself, since it's not attached to anything, because it's usually TakeOver is a company, one of the big 4 pay-per-views, or 5, 4, whatever. This one here was actually supposed to be a standalone pay-per-view, right? It was supposed to be TakeOver San Jose.
Yeah.
But WWE, because of the Saudi show, had to mix things around. They outright canceled Backlash, and they had to move TakeOver San Jose because of the conflict with the Saudi show. Not the it was conflicting with the Saudi. There are conflicts regarding the Saudi show, but that's not what we're talking about. But because of scheduling conflicts is what I'm trying to say. So everything was sort of moved around, and this sort of led. We were talking briefly about this before we came on air. This led a bit to a situation where everything sort of feels thrown together. There's, in a lot of cases, there's not much cohesiveness, not much story to this. What do you feel about the build-up to TakeOver 25, TakeOver Bridgeport, Harmony?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I'm sad because some of the stories that I'm really into on NXT are not a part of this takeover. Like, I would have loved it if Mia Yim and Bianca Belair had a match on here. Or, any second women's match, just 2 women's matches in one pay-per-view. NXT, just something to think about. You could do that, maybe.
Let's hold on. Okay, go ahead. I don't want to railroad you just yet. Yet.
Sorry. Just tell me when to back off.
No. It's fine. It's fine because you're scoring a very good point. But keep going about the build-up. Sorry, I'm just excited.
Okay. So there are some cool mid-card stories that aren't really represented, and the big, like the big belt matches, there's just not been a lot of build-up or a lot of things to get excited about them with. Like, the Viking Experience, I refuse to acknowledge their new name. The Viking Experience vacated their belts, so now those are up for grabs. I guess Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole are fighting because why not? It felt like they kind of looked at the roster and they're like, okay, we know these fights will be fine if they happen, so we'll do them for this pay-per-view. But like,
Mm-hmm.
there was not a story leading up to it. It just kind of I don't know, it feels like a greatest hits record or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. That's exactly it. And you know about greatest hits records. Like someone once told me, greatest hits records, they exist for suburbanites and moms. That's what they're for. And
Guys and little girls.
yeah, so there's not much to sink your teeth into here. Although well, we'll get into each match individually, of course. But I mean, Gargano versus Cole at Takeover New York was fantastic. So there's no reason why the match won't be fantastic. You have quality tag teams in the Fatal Four Way. Io and Shayna. Are you kidding me? But I mean, it it's not a takeover that you get naturally excited for, where there was just all this stuff bubbling up, and you're like, ooh, yeah, it's just like it's just going to happen. But whether they had started the build 2 months ago or 1 week ago, I feel we'd be pretty much in the same place.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And you touched on it just a tiny bit, and this is the part I want to I want to talk just a little more before we start talking about the matches. For I've said this a couple of times, and if you're a regular viewer or listener, you're probably going to say, "Oh, there's old man Hayes again, talking about women's wrestling and NXT and how NXT was the hotbed for women's wrestling, and now in WWE, and now we can barely scrape in. We can't even scrape in a second match for the women on Takeover." And it's really, really hard for even to get a secondary angle for women on the weekly show. Um, Baszler, Shirai, it's fantastic, and you can't, it's a match that had to be booked. But the depth of women that they still have in NXT right now, Candice and Mia Yim and Bianca, and Deonna Purrazzo, FYI, is still there, right? And they have they have Rachel Ellering, who was she's been recently signed. What are they doing with their women, Harmony?
I don't know. I'll tell you. I watched that Target takeover thing on the network to prepare for this show because I do some homework when I come on your show, Mr. Warren Hayes.
Hello.
Yeah. So I
I
gave
should
that
have
a
wore a
watch.
tie.
Well, you're wearing your formal Johnny Gargano hat, and I appreciate
That's
that.
true. That's true.
It's good.
Thank you.
I'm wearing my Millie McKenzie shirt, so I really stepped it up
There
today
you go.
because she's the best.
She
But
is.
yeah, so I watched this Target NXT takeover thing, and there's a whole long vignette about Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole, and they follow Johnny Gargano back to Cleveland, and he goes to his wrestling school. It's actually like very sweet. But like Candice is in it all the time, but she's only in it as Johnny Gargano's wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a whole vignette about how Candice LeRae is married to Johnny Gargano. If you just watched this and you didn't know who Candice LeRae was, you'd just be like, "Oh wow, Johnny Gargano's wife is really nice. I wonder why she's in the takeover vignette so much." And it's like that's what we're doing with Candice LeRae.
Yeah.
Who's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. She's
Mm-hmm.
done so much. She's so talented. And NXT looks at her, they're just like, I don't know, she was sad wife, now she's glad wife. We'll just flip that switch, but we're not actually going to let her wrestle. They have so many talented people just like waiting in the wings. Like they just signed Karen Q,
That's true.
and like they have so many great people, but they don't seem to trust women to carry storylines in NXT. Like it's like the belt is a storyline, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they'll do some cool mid card stuff, but they don't move the talent around, and they don't use it enough for anyone really to get a spotlight, and it really sucks. Like
I agree. I agree. And there's yeah, and when you think about it, it's really not all that hard because really all you need to do is just let wrestlers have wrestling angles.
yeah,
It's It's just basic stuff. They don't have to fight over boyfriends. They don't have to fight over heels. You know, who has better heels, like actual high heels is what I mean, not like wrestling heels. You know, just let them have reasons, wrestling reasons to fight because they're wrestlers, right?
Yeah, that's literally why they work at NXT. They want to wrestle. That's the only reason you would have that job. So
Yeah,
just let them do it. It's
exactly.
not. I don't know. I don't understand if there was like a shift backstage at NXT. I don't know who's writing and producing right now, but whoever seemed to be very invested in women's wrestling 5 years ago seems to have lost that interest, and it is a big fat fucking bummer for me and other independent women's wrestling fans because we're seeing all of our favorite wrestlers get sucked up into WWE and then they just don't do shit.
Yeah,
It's a bummer.
and it is a shame. It is a shame because I've been a huge Candice guy. I love Deonna Purrazzo, and the fact that
Awesome.
Deonna Purrazzo has been invisible. The last time Deonna Purrazzo was on WWE television was last fall on NXT TV. NXT UK. She wrestled I want to say she wrestled Rhea Ripley.
I
I
think she did. Yeah.
I think
I remember
I think Rhea Ripley had a title defense maybe or was before anyway, but I want to she wrestled, that was the last time she wrestled on WWE television was on NXT UK. Which is another whole 9 yards there because god damn if they don't have a an amazing roster of women, but we're going to stick to NXT. We're going to start talking about TakeOver and besides everyone in the chat, Harmony, agrees agrees with you. We're not getting any
Yay.
people saying Harmony's full of shit. No, we're not getting any of that.
And
We've
if
been
you'll say that, I don't need to know. Like you just
no, that's fine. Yeah, but no, I know that. But I mean, when you are getting compliments, such as from Kristen, who says, "Gosh, I love Harmony." She just says what I'm thinking.
I
There
love
you
you,
go.
Kristen.
Carlos says Candice versus Io needs to happen at SummerSlam. That'd be
Yeah.
great. That would be fantastic. Chris Spizak says the NXT women's division has been neglected for a while now. And even Jason PS3 says not just NXT, but WWE in general. It's hard to disagree with that. All right.
Yeah. We should probably not get into all of the problems with WWE's women's wrestling, but if we had another hour, man, I think we could. I have a
Hey,
lot to say
maybe we
about.
should just have a stream some point and just shoot the shit on it. We'll have a couple of other people on here and just talk about
That
the dire state of women's wrestling and the world wrestling entertainment.
that could be a good bells to bells audio visual content idea.
Look at you. All right.
Just put it out
let's get into this. We're gonna start talking about the talking about the takeover matches. Everyone who's joining us live in the chat, of course, you are more than welcome. And actually, you are encouraged to drop your opinions and thoughts and your own predictions as well as to who is going to win these matches.
there. What the hell was that?
I don't know. I'm trying bits. You know, ultimately my end game here is that I'm going to end with having a one man show. That's going to be my end game here. All right, let's go. Let's start with the very first match of the evening. I'm actually, and just for clarity's sake, I'm not editorializing here. I'm using the NXT card as it appears on WWE.com in reverse order. So
Okay.
I'm not saying this should be the first. No, this is how they're presenting it. Here we go. First match of the evening, or the first match we're going to talk about: Matt Riddle versus the undisputed eras. Excuse me, Roderick Strong. Now, I think Harmony, if I don't think you'll be in disagreement if I say that earlier when we were talking about how everything sort of feels slapdash and thrown together, I think this is the embodiment of what this NXT feels like, booking wise anyway.
Yeah, I would love to know who backstage was like, we don't need a second women's match, but we definitely need Matt Riddle to fight Roderick Strong. Like,
Yeah.
that has to happen today. Like, okay, I guess.
I
I know that, like, some didn't like Roderick Strong try to kill Matt Riddle or something to make Adam Cole happy? There was like a weird shoe-based plot line for a minute. I just
Mm-hmm.
remember Kyle O'Reilly had really excellent facial expressions reacting to the whole thing, but that's all I took away from it. So
Well,
I love Kyle.
I mean,
Sorry.
he does upstage quite a bit when he starts mugging.
Yeah.
Look, I like these are two wrestlers that I really love. You
Okay.
know, and I think Roderick Strong. He had a fantastic 2018 subbing for Bobby Fish in the Undisputed Era's tag team situation, and the way that he and Kyle O'Reilly meshed together was spectacular because they were literally one of the best tag teams in the world at that point. It was everything they pumped out was fantastic, um, and I think we kind of forgotten how solid of a worker he is. And for those of us who had forgotten, during the Worlds Collide event, the last one that they had for, I guess it was for WrestleMania, he had an excellent match with Tyler Bate, like a really, really good match. So, so you put him in there with Matt Riddle, who is essentially, you know, a he's essentially a wrestler that I'd create in WWE 2K19, and I'd give all the power moves to, and it's like, and he'd pull them off all the time. That's essentially Matt Riddle. You just give him the most insane, brutal moves. That's all he does, and he's fantastic. He's smooth. He had a great match with Velveteen Dream at TakeOver New York, and I feel that, I don't know what you think, but with Roderick Strong, who is a guy who can definitely match him as far as work rate goes, and for stiffness. Maybe I don't remember if Strong has MMA training, but anyway, it's like they can. I think they'll mesh really, really well together.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's going to be an awesome match. I love Matt Riddle. He's incredible in the ring. Like Roderick Strong, he didn't really click for me until he started working with Undisputed Era, but once I saw him kind of doing the tag team stuff, I was like, okay, I get it. This guy's amazing. They're both incredibly skilled. I don't know how long the match is going to be. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be awesome to watch. I think it's interesting that you brought up the last NXT takeover in New York because the story for the Velveteen Dream and Matt Riddle match was so much better. And I can't help but think about what it would be like if this story was a little more built up. Like the idea of like Velveteen Dream is like, arrogant super champ versus Matt Riddle, this new wonder kid. Like it was good and it was fun to watch. And I was like emotionally invested in that match. And they're
Mm-hmm.
both like fucking incredible. So it was really fun to watch. I wish the storyline and the incredible technical skill for this match was going to be as well balanced. It's like, I know it's going to be cool. I don't know who's going to win, and I don't really care.
Well, there you go. I have a tie-in maybe for later, but we
Okay.
have to keep moving forward in our predictions here before I actually spoil my further predictions. Well, okay. I mean, chat. By the way, feel free to tell us who you think is going to come out on top here. But if if you ask me, I I think that we are going to see. I like it wouldn't make sense for in my mind right now for them to really stunt the momentum that that Matt Riddle has any further because he did lose at Takeover New York, which was a good
Yeah.
decision. It was a good decision. But, I think they do want him to be a big star. I think there is money in the guy. I think he's entertaining. He's fantastic. He's a fantastic wrestler. I really do believe that there's enough reason here for him to go over Roderick Strong, and for other reasons as well that I might talk about later. But and I think Strong is going to do a very strong job at making Riddle look like $1 million as well. What do you think?
I think that's exactly right. I know Matt Riddle, like his big career dream is to retire Brock Lesnar, and I support him in that very strongly. So for that alone, he is my pick to win. Also, yeah, Riddle. I mean, he's due for another takeover win. They're clearly building him up for big stuff. And Roderick Strong, like, he just doesn't have as much to gain from winning this match. It just
No.
doesn't. It wouldn't really matter if he won or not, but it'll advance Riddle a bit. So I think you're right. I think it's gonna be Riddle.
Chat seems to also agree that Riddle is pretty much a no-brainer here. I even think that like I know they don't focus too much on angles, all that much on takeovers, maybe outside of the main event matches, but I would definitely see Undisputed Era not getting involved in the match, and then Roderick Strong sort of getting pissed about it because it's like, where were you guys? Oh, Adam told us not to get involved, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
Just to continue sowing the seeds of that a bit.
Yeah.
All right. So that was our first match. Let's move on to the second match. There's a whole bunch of people in this match, Harmony. It is for the vacant NXT Tag Team Championships. Only Lorcan and Danny Burch versus the Street Profits versus Red Dragon versus the Forgotten Sons, Wesley Blake and your boy Wesley Blake and Cutler. Why do I not remember his name all of a sudden?
Did you forget the Forgotten Sons, Warren?
Thank you for saving my ass on that one, Harmony. We'll just pretend it's a bit. That's good.
Yeah, it's a bit. Good job.
A bit. Thank you.
Very funny.
War Raiders were called up to main roster for some bizarre reason, and then they decided to vacate the titles on NXT, setting up this fatal 4-way match where the winner will become the next tag team NXT Tag Team Champions. This is a month removed from the Dusty Classic. No, not a month. Sorry, 2 months. Well, just a little, almost April, June. Yeah, it's April, right? WrestleMania's in April. There's some people in the chat right now can attest that I'm terrible at math. Yeah, we're like 2 months removed from the Dusty Classic, from the finals of the Dusty Classic, right? Where the titles we had this competition. Now the titles are vacated. But before we get into the titles themselves, War Raiders, War Machine, Viking Experience, the Viking Raiders. How do you feel about their tenure in NXT?
I think we should call them the Viking Experience because that name is amazing. WWE gave us that gift and they cannot take it back.
Oh, you're in a team of your own there, Harmony.
So good.
Oh.
I like stupid tag team names, so it's just right up my alley. I feel like them vacating the titles is kind of lame. Like, that's such an opportunity to put over another team on the way out the door. Why would you just be like, I don't know, they don't want to do it anymore. Now they're on SmackDown. Bye. Like,
I don't understand. Why? I'm glad you said it because then I sound less like an anal retentive freak. I don't know why they didn't put someone over. And it's not as if they were in this mega push on main roster where we absolutely had to preserve, their sheen of awesomeness because they haven't been used in the past 2 weeks. They haven't even been on bloody television. Why couldn't they have put over Street Profits?
There's no real reason. Like, I mean, Asuka going to the main roster undefeated made sense because that was such a big part of her arc before they decided they didn't care for her to have an arc anymore, which again is a whole other thing we can get into on another show. But there was a reason for her to go undefeated onto the main roster. There was no reason for the Viking Experience to drop the belts on the way out the door. Like, it just, and there are so many. Look, I'm not giving it up, Warren.
No. I'm sorry, Harmony. We get along so well, but no, I draw a line here.
Okay, fine.
Are you telling me that you enjoy Eric and Ivar? Ivar!
It's so stupid. It's beyond it's like somehow it's so stupid it loops around and becomes great. Like,
no, shush.
It's like an Ed Wood movie of tag team titles where you're just like, wow, that was fucking terrible. And it's the only thing I want to look at for the rest of my life. Like,
Oh.
it's the kind of thing. Okay, I'll let it go. But yeah. So, so I don't understand the logic behind having them not drop the titles. I think the Street Profits would have benefited from the push.
And the way
Um,
the way they were positioning the Profits, right, where it was like
yeah,
that one match they had on NXT TV where the Street Profits blindsided them, right? And they
yeah,
were and everything was really really furious. The pace was really quick, and they tried to get the quick pin. I was convinced that they were doing it, and had they if they had positioned the Profits in that like that, if they had actually gone through with it, is what we should say, and have them win, the War Raiders wouldn't have looked that weak. It's just the Profits were just wilier and smarter, and that actually works even better because of their gimmick. It actually works in the idea that they're street smart. There you go.
well, they had that promo a while ago where they were like, "Yeah, we're coming into the year, and we're excited, we're ready, we're focused," and they just like they did all of these promos about how they were ready to like take on the year and kick ass and be awesome, and it was like exciting because it felt like it was building up to something, and I was excited because I love the Street Profits. If you've seen their work and other like their stuff in Evolve is
Yeah.
really cool. It's worth
Yes.
checking out. So it's like, okay, awesome. They're finally bringing the Evolve Street Profits into NXT. And then it was like, they kind of did something and they didn't. And now this 4-way match is happening. And it's like, I
It,
don't,
it's a
and
shame.
they even could have had Lorcan and Birch take the belts off of our Viking friends.
Which would have been super credible as well because Oni and Danny are just they're just two tough sons of bitches. That's all.
Yeah,
That's all it is. Yeah, yeah. They just want to fight. That's all they want to do.
yeah, have them take the belts off the Vikings and just be like, "Hey, they're leaving. We have the belts now. Come get them." Like even that would have been a better story than just like womp womp. No one has these now. Like,
Or just go down another path and be like, you know what? Let's put the belts back on Undisputed Era. Strong heel team, and you give Street Profits, for instance, because look, Street Profits should have won the Dusty Classic. They should not have been eliminated in the first round. They are the most over tag team that NXT has right now. These guys are over. Montez Ford is a gem, and he is only going to improve. This guy is he's bananas, and he's not involved in enough conversations when we talk about the future of WWE. He is a part of that. It's crazy. So as you have Fish and O'Reilly take the belts and have a nice nifty feud with the Street Profits, the jocks versus the smarmy, street dudes, it would have been a lot of fun, that too.
God, can you imagine the promos between Street Profits and Undisputed Era?
Are you kidding me?
Just imagine.
And if only to have Kyle O'Reilly one more time do the air guitar come into the ring, right?
That'd be so good.
We kind of miss that.
Yeah, we should just get him a belt so we can just do it.
Yeah. You kind of notice Harmony. We've been talking about the tag teams here. Talked about the Street Profits, now they'd be deserving, and how could have given them to Lorcan and Birch. That well, you might as well go with Undisputed Era. Haven't said jack shit about the Forgotten Sons, or as I like to call them, Sanity Jr.
They're like the Sanity with all of the interesting things taken out of Sanity. It's just like big guys in leather clothes is your jam. Forgotten Sons are here. Like, I don't understand why Forgotten Sons seem to be as prominent in NXT as they are. Like, did Triple H just like binge Sons of Anarchy one weekend, and then he was like, "That needs to be a tag team," like, and nobody's feels comfortable telling him no?
He's into biker culture, right? Like he's really into it. So I'm not surprised. And there's Cutler and Blake. They've been in developmental for a while. They've been in NXT for a long time. So I guess at some point you're just like, well, we have to try and do something. But every time I see these guys work, they're not on the level of those three other teams that are there. They have
No.
you know, there's a lot of body slamming. There's a lot of backbreakers, but there's not much else. You know, you have guys like Oni Lorcan and Kyle O'Reilly in the ring who are magicians, who can do all sorts of cool shit. You have Montez Ford who can light a room up just by outstretching his arms, you know. Then you have Cutler and Blake, and don't get me started on Jason Riker, and you know, but you know, it's a weird thing, and these are the guys who got to the finals of the Dusty Classic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be totally honest. I can't 100% tell them apart.
I have. It's easier for me to tell Jay and Jimmy Uso apart than it does these two guys, for real.
Well, Jay and Jimmy Uso also have actual characters and do interesting things, which helps with that scenario. The Forgotten, they have their goofy theme song, which starts with an angry guy saying "do unto others," which I don't know what that means. Like, I guess they're gonna do stuff to other people, and
maybe there's a biblical undertone to everything they're doing. I don't know.
I guess, like, no, they're not as good as the other teams. They're not as interesting as the other teams. Like, it's just, it felt like someone was like, we don't have enough generic leather guys in this division, so let's throw some in there. And for some reason, they keep getting these opportunities that they don't seem to earn and don't really make any sense.
Right.
So, and maybe they have dirt on Vince or something.
It'd have to be pretty significant.
Yeah, I was about to say, could you blackmail Vince McMahon at this point?
I you know what? I wouldn't have the gumption to even try that. Yes, I said gumption. It's 2019. Jay King in the chat says, I just want to see Montez Ford deliver a frog splash off of a 20-foot ladder.
Yes.
And for some reason, people think that I spit into my microphone. I don't. Yeah, you haven't noticed, right, Harmony? I don't know, right?
I've not noticed.
See, there you go. So I think what I have is haters in the chat. I think there's a bunch of haters. It's just a bunch of haters. Lame. There's a lot of calls for Street Profits in the chat winning here, but Undisputed Era as well. Who do you think, Harmony, is going to become the next NXT Tag Team Champions?
So I hope it's the Street Profits because they're incredibly over. They've more than earned it, and they would be fantastic as champs. I've never seen them put on a bad match with anybody. I'd love to see them get a good title run. I think it's very possible that it's undefeated. Redragon, I'm just going to call them that. I think it's very possible. It's very possible they put the tags back on them again so the Street Profits can chase them for a while, which would also be fun. There's a little sinking, sad part of my heart that is afraid it will be the Forgotten Sons just because they continue to get these opportunities and this push that doesn't make sense. It just feels like someone backstage has decided these guys are going to be a big deal, which does happen on WWE programming. So I'm a little afraid that might happen, but I'm going to be optimistic and say it's the Street Profits because there is justice and goodness in the world sometimes, and Montez Ford deserves it.
Yes, and I think I'm going to go down the same path as well. I think that they being NXT creative, they did a good job teasing us. So it's like, oh, they can do it. Oh, almost, not, not quite. So if they were this close to beating the war machine of the experience that raids, they were this close, well, they technically should be able to beat, at the very least, the guys who need a shave and a bath. So yeah, I think we're both in agreement here. We're going to see the Street Profits come out on top. Although I still wouldn't be surprised if they gave the titles to Undisputed Era, but it doesn't work in my narrative, and I still have my narrative coming up.
I trust your narratives because you nailed everything in Evolution.
Well, at least one thing, just that one thing.
I was impressed.
And in the chat, apparently I do spit into my microphone, and Kristen says that you're just playing it smart and not looking directly into my mouth, which makes me wonder that the rest of the chat is looking into my mouth as I'm speaking, which just makes this really weird all of a sudden.
Yeah. Although that means I can just do whatever I want over on my screen, so that's cool.
There you go. There you go. Next match, Harmony, that we're going to talk about. North American title being defended. Velveteen Dream, the champ, versus Tyler Breeze. Prince Pretty, who is officially back in NXT. It's been canonized. Triple H has mentioned it. He's on WWE.com. He is on the NXT roster now. Are we good? Are we glad about that?
I mean, I'm glad about it. Well, I have mixed feelings about it.
Tell us about your mixed feelings, Harmony.
Okay. So I think that it's great that Tyler Breeze is back on NXT. I think it's great for him. It's been very clear for a long time. They've got no idea what to do with that dude on the main roster, which is a shame because he's talented and he's fun to watch. But I feel like they just didn't know what to do with his gimmick. And then Fandango got injured. Like there's just no place for him. And instead of cutting him loose, they send him back to NXT. He's actually opening a wrestling school with Sean Spears right now, which is neat. Like, I think it's cool they figured out a way to keep him around. Obviously, the NXT, like the Full Sail crowd, just loves him. When he came back, the pop was bananas. Like, it seems like kind of like a nice feel-good story, and it's cool. The only reason I don't love it is because NXT is developmental, and it kind of makes me worried that more people are going to start bouncing back from the main roster, and kind of the newer kids are going to stop. They're going to start getting less and less screen time and less opportunities. Like, if Breeze is just back for a little while to put Dream over and have fun on the NXT roster, great. If this becomes a trend where people start shuffling back and forth, I think it could be kind of bad, especially when it comes to the women's division, because the women get so little time on the show to begin with. I do not want women bouncing back from the main roster. Or they could give women more time. That's always,
or they could do that.
That's a solution.
But
I don't trust them to. So
they could also do that. Anthony from Smart to Death, who, by the way, hi Anthony, welcome to the chat, says he congratulates Tyler Breeze on the promotion to NXT. So there's there's that perception as well in the fan base, nonetheless, where it's like, he, like you said, it's not as if they had anything really going for him. I think it's one of these situations where, Vince McMahon just doesn't get it. He doesn't understand it, doesn't see past the gimmicks. So look, you can't be a fashion police. I don't know what to do with you, pal, kind of thing. And he probably says, you want to go out and do a pooper scooper joke? If you do a pooper scooper joke.
God.
So
that podcast was excruciating. Sorry.
It was something. But so when you go back to when you look at with the absolute nothingness that they had for him, we were all at a point where we all kind of felt for Tyler Breeze, because he is a great talent and he's fantastic. And at this point, what is WWE going to do? Are they going to cut him loose? Because Breeze has that sheen about him, that likability that the core base really enjoys, kind of a la Ty Dillinger, Spears. What's his first name again?
I think Sean
Spears. Where if you went to a rival promotion, people would get excited about it. People would be like, finally, and then, blossom into the beautiful butterfly that we know he is. So why not put him back onto NXT where, people still remember him very, very fondly, where it will be a somewhat of a welcome home situation, and where he'll be able to flourish. To me, for his career, it's probably the best path within the context of his career right now. But I mean, this goes entirely into what we were saying earlier on, with the women, and you pointed it out very judiciously. Is that, I mean, it's already, NXT is already stacked with talent, start bringing guys or gals back into NXT, well, you're automatically taking up slots, you know. But then again, see, it's a very hard one to be like, oh, I'm for it, I'm against it, because it's Tyler Breeze. Had it been Jinder Mahal, had it been former WWE champion Jinder Mahal, people probably wouldn't have been that excited. Probably be more along the lines of, fuck that guy, he's taking up the spot he's taking up Raul Mendoza's spot, kind of thing. Whereas now we're like, welcome home, Tyler, welcome home, Prince Pretty. But I mean, that being said, what a great match. Match as in swipe right match. It's like, what a great combination to put these two guys together, because they are similar characters. I like the idea of having the two male divas of NXT fight for the shine. This is a feud that if we had had an extra month just to really build it, and for each of them to really show each other off, just try to always one up each other in the theatrics, by God, it would have been something special.
I think we do have to give them credit that even with the short amount of build they've had, they've made it a pretty compelling match. Like that first promo where Breeze came back and did the selfie with Dream and then said, hey, if you write your number on your ass and nobody calls it, it's because they don't want you. That was the fight in a nutshell. And it was especially great coming from Tyler Breeze, who hasn't had the best luck on the main roster. And it's fun to watch Dream have a little fun with that. Like, there are so many different character things they can work with this, and they're both such good character actors. They're so good at that side of the business. Like, they built it up fast. I did not expect to be invested in this match, and now I'm just like, I have to see who wins.
Absolutely. And Chris Jeter in the chat says, I hope they extend this Dream Breeze feud beyond this match. Knowing that Breeze is sticking around NXT, yes, please.
Yes.
I'm 100% in on this. Before we actually get into predictions and chat, feel free to let us know who you think is going to win this one. Are we seeing a new champion, or is it going to be an and still situation? Before we actually get into it, Dream's gear. Are we going to see him come out as perhaps Dream Ambrose? Probably not, eh? But
I think we'll probably see a Dream take on the Tyler Breeze gimmick.
Oh, you think? Or Goldust?
Oh, I would love a Goldust.
Or is it too soon? Is it too soon for both?
The thing about first off, I think Dream got apparently he got yelled at a lot for calling out Vince on his tights. So I don't know if he'll be playing it fast and loose with his gear again, though I hope he does, because his gear is honestly like the fucking highlight of every takeover for me. I even did a rundown on Daily DDT one time of my favorite gear from him, just because I love him so much. He usually uses his gear to mess with his opponents.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really hoping he does something like a great take on Tyler Breeze's whole selfie, furry boots, just really fucking take it up to the ceiling. I want to see that so badly. I almost want to see that more than I want to see the match.
Well, there you go. Well, who do you think is going to win?
Oh, okay. So I think it's going to be Tyler Breeze, and I think it's going to be Tyler Breeze for two reasons. First, it would be a great plot line for Breeze to be hanging onto that belt and challenging other people to come at him if they're going to keep him on NXT. That gives him something to do. He's also got kind of the veteran cred, so it'd be hard to get the belt off of him. So whoever won would get a pretty big push from it. It would set up a lot of great story opportunities. So there's really nothing to lose from putting the belt on Breeze. The second reason is I love Velveteen Dream, and I think it's time to put the main title on him. By the end of this year, I want him to be the NXT champion. He's done the work. He's earned it. I'm very, very bored with Johnny Gargano at this point. Dream is one of the most interesting wrestlers. He's one of the most talented wrestlers. He's one of the most fun to watch. He should be the face of NXT. And as long as he's a North American champion, he's not going to get that chance. So I want to see him get that. And that's kind of paradoxically why I'm hoping he will lose.
I also believe that he is going to drop the title as well, because I also believe, I am in 100% agreement with you that for the exact same two reasons. I won't go over them again, but Dream is, if only to reinforce the fact that Dream needs to be put in the NXT Championship picture.
Yes.
And for that, we need our a match a little later on. But that's on both reasons, I am in complete agreement. And as far as Chad goes, well, you have Dale Campbell, who thinks that Dream is going to retain, as well as Kristen thinks that as well. Jason PS3 thinks Breeze is going to retain. Anthony from Smart to Destiny said Dream is going to retain. Dream as well. There's a couple of people who are backing Breeze. I mean, it can go. That's it. There's a nice aura of unpredictability around this. Around this here. And Joe Anthony, by the way, said that he would love for Dream to come. Not Dream, but wait, is that what Dream? Let me do. Oh, I lost his comment.
Oh shoot!
Hang on. He would like to see Dream come to the ring dressed up as Fandango.
Ooh, that would be even better. That's such a good idea.
That is a good idea. Thank you, Jam. You're not fired anymore. So there we go. Next match. Let's move on. The second to last match that we're going to talk about. NXT Women's Champion, the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler, against the Genius of the Sky, Io Shirai. I don't know if they meant it to sort of have that same type of, rhyme and, the appropriate amount of meter, for it to all fit in, as if as if I'm a member of Wu-Tang Clan, but only lamer and much more white.
That strike me as a member of the Wu-Tang Clan, but
it's as far as it's not just for the kids. Wu-Tang is just not for the kid, not only for the kids, the children.
Wu-Tang is for the children, Warren.
Yes, I know. Okay, so we have Shayna, we have Io, and this is going to be fantastic. This was actually built up pretty well, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, this is the match that I am the most invested in. I'm super excited about it. Side note, do you know how Shayna got her nickname?
No.
So apparently, Shayna Baszler is a huge sleight of hand magician enthusiast.
Really?
And when she was doing her MMA training, she made people watch her do card tricks. So
that's awesome.
I know, right? I love Shayna Baszler so much.
And honestly, I'm not a big fan of sleight of hand. Like I've been around a lot of magicians who do like micro magic, and I always find it to be a little lame. But if Shayna Baszler comes up to me and is like, "Hey buddy, want to see a card trick?" and I'm like, "Yes, ma'am," kind of whatever you say. What? Bravo! It's like, sure. This has been the greatest thing I've ever seen. You're better than David Blaine. Congratulations, ma'am. I just show me whatever card trick you want. Go ahead. Tell us more about the build here.
I mean, it's been a great build. Like Shayna, her character work over this last year has been awesome. She's just this undefeatable, terrifying bully. Kyrie and Io coming at her as a tag team was great. The buildup was really fun. The final match where Io just snapped and got a kendo stick and went bananas on everybody, that was such a good climax.
Yes.
I think last time we talked about Io Shirai, you said you were a little disappointed. I think this was around the Evolution pay-per-view that we hadn't seen kind of the monster Io Shirai that you had been hoping for, that you felt you'd been promised. I felt like that kendo stick breakdown was like the promise from NXT. Like, okay, the two scariest women on this roster are officially these two people, and now they are going to murder each other for your entertainment at TakeOver 25.
And you see, that's the thing. And you could even say the same thing with Kairi Sane, right? where we know Kyrie can be vicious and brutal as well, but we never quite saw that because why? Well, because she's so petite and adorable and smiling, and that's what That's one of the facets that, as most North American wrestling viewers don't get to see about Joshi, about Japanese women's wrestling, is that the women can get really nuts and still come out smiling and having all these colorful outfits, but they will just kill each other.
Oh yeah, I love watching Stardom with people who've never watched it before because they're like, "Oh, that's so cute. All the outfits are fun." And then, "Oh my god." Like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, why are they doing this to each other, mommy? It's
yeah, like oh, this is totally off subject, but any of Kagetsu and Hana Kimura's showdowns lately, like I am surprised both of those women can still walk. It is shocking to me.
Mhm.
It's worth.
Absolutely.
And if you like Stardom, by the way, Io and Shayna have a really good Stardom match. You can watch because Stardom put it up on YouTube.
Really?
Yes, I think it was the World of Stardom champion they fought over. Shayna had a brief run in Stardom. This was back when Chris Wolf was in 08 Tai, so it was a minute ago. But yeah, the whole match is up on YouTube. It's a really good example of Stardom wrestling. It's also really fun to watch, just to see kind of how far Shayna's come, see how far Io's come, and it's also just a really good example of what we hopefully will see tomorrow. So I encourage you check it out. It's like a nice little
Oh,
preview.
that's fantastic. And if anyone in the live chat wants to look it up on YouTube for us and maybe drop the link for everyone who is with us live, that'd be fantastic. Thank you for that cue, Harmony. I wasn't even aware that happened. That's great stuff. But to the subject matter back at hand, because we tangented.
We do that.
We do that. Yeah, so proper build to this match. I mean, it has, there is a story to it. It goes back to TakeOver New York, or even after that, when Shayna basically broke, tried to break Kairi Sane, and eventually did succeed because Kairi Sane then was out of NXT, and that fantastic moment where Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir are holding on to Shirai, and it's like, look at your friend, and she's like, ah. That was chilling. That was so well done by everyone involved. So this one actually does have a story. It has something that's been carried over. They've tossed Candice LeRae into the mix, because I want to see Candice LeRae and Shayna Baszler just beat the shit out of each other. That's
Yes.
that has to happen sometime before I die, which will hopefully be in over the at least over 3 to 4 years. That's what I'm hoping for. But
Good.
so they did add Candice in here with the whole performance center thing, and then so there's actually like a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of elements. One thing that I do like on the way that they handle the horsewomen with Shayna is how it's not like Adam Cole with the Undisputed Era, where Adam Cole sometimes needs the dudes to win, whereas Shayna, she will have them, they will cause distraction, maybe will give Shayna a moment to overcome, maybe give us the impression that she's about to steal a win, but Shayna always manages nonetheless to get a win kind of on her own, despite the fact that she has her backup, right? Or am I off track here?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. There's actually a really good promo that I think it was Justin Stanley did talking about the match tomorrow, where she just talked about the fact that like they're there to support Shayna, but Shayna is like on a whole new level, like they've never seen her like this before. Just sort of implying that she's scarier than she's ever been, she's stronger than she's ever been, and she's just like, yeah, I'm actually kind of scared of Shayna at this point. Like
Yeah.
it feels much less like they're there to support Shayna and much more like they're there to learn from Shayna. But Shayna's going to be beating the hell out of people regardless of who is in her periphery. If you want to help her, great, but like she's going to win, and she's going to win clean because she is the best wrestler in NXT.
Oh,
So
that's interesting. So that's your prediction.
I don't. Actually, I hope she doesn't win, but I think she might.
Okay. You don't want her to win, but you think she might? I'm
I
confused. Chad, are you confused? Because I'm confused.
sorry, Pat. I my whole life is just I spend a lot of time planning out Shayna Baszler's career for her, so it's very important to me. Um, so I think that as much as I've loved Shayna as this monster champion, I think she's going to be 10 times more fun as a vengeful ex champion. Also, I thought she was going to get called up to the main roster, but now that Ronda Rousey's on her impregnation vacation, which is the worst fucking hashtag I've ever heard in my life,
It's the worst
uh,
succession of words ever, actually.
so gross. Like, good for you guys, but did you have to make a hashtag that's fucking weird? But yeah, like I feel like that makes Shayna's future a little less certain. So I want to see her go vengeful ex champ. I want to see her have some fun with that, and then I want to see her go to the main roster and be terrifying. Um, yeah, so I think that Shayna may retain. I'm not sure if they want to put the belt on Shirai. On the other hand, it seems like Shirai's ready for a push, and they're making a big deal out of her. So yeah, I'm kind of not sure.
Well, a lot of people in the chat are thinking that Io's going to win. A lot of people think that there's going to be some distraction. I think it's obvious at this point that Candice LeRae is going to be involved at some point, and a lot of people are thinking that Candice LeRae is going to turn on Io Shirai. That the next match coming up is Io versus Candice, with a heel Candice. And I'm sure I dig that, but it is a theory that I've seen spun around quite a bit. I feel that Io is going to win. I think she's going to become the new NXT Women's Champion. I don't think they're done with Shayna in NXT just yet. Anyway, why send her to Maine right now? There's no reason to. She's too much of a cornerstone. They've started elevating new women. Trying to get us interested in the Mia Yims, for instance. Slowly but surely, trying to reestablish a strong division. And if you want to elevate new women into strong positions, well, you need strong opponents, and there's none stronger right now than Shayna Baszler. She still has time in NXT for it still makes sense for her to stay in NXT. It even still makes sense for her to be a 3-time NXT Women's Champion. And I'd be okay with that. She's the first, second. Let's cement her legacy, be the third, and no one ever beat her for that, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because after all, Asuka is just a one-time NXT Women's Champion, just once. And I think for me, I think the idea of Candice being thrown into the mix here isn't as much to turn on Io than it is to finally get the match I want to see, which is Shayna and Candice just uncorking on each other. That's what I want. And I want a brutal women's match, not one which is, which is very athletic, showing off, aerial moves and very, very high flying, explosive stuff, which is fine, by the way. But that's not what Shayna delivers. That's not what she's good for.
Right.
Candice she's a brute. That's the thing. That if you've seen her indie work, she's a brute. So if you put them both into a physical fight, that's what you're going to get. And I think that's something that WWE wrestling fans need to see. That it doesn't always have to be very athletic. Women's matches don't always have to be necessarily 100% athletic, which, again, I don't have a problem with. It's fine. But sometimes we can end up having Mankind and Stone Cold Steve Austin just beating the shit out of each other,
Yeah.
With women. That can happen as well. And if you have two perfect candidates in LeRae and Baszler to do it. So that's what I think.
No, I agree. I could not have said it better. I want crazy, terrifying, brutal women's matches in NXT. And also, if you check out that Stardom match, like Io and Shayna, like Io is actually like she's pretty hardcore. It's a
Mm-hmm.
kind of a scary match. I think you may actually see that match tomorrow, God willing, if they
Well,
let Io go full Io. We'll
yeah.
we'll see.
If they let them, if they uncork EO, Shane is going to be in for a hell of a surprise. That's for sure. But not really a surprise because we know it's scripted. But you know what I mean. You know what I
Wait,
talk about.
so on your show, do we pretend like it's not? Is that
No,
okay? Cool.
we don't pretend like it's not real. What it is.
I don't, some people do. Some people get very into kayfabe, and I don't want to like break anybody's heart by revealing that wrestling is predetermined and that wrestling Santa is not real and there's not a portal to hell under the ring, as far as I know.
As far
Um,
as we know,
yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to definitively say there's not.
yeah, I think there's some true investigative journalism that has to happen there before we can say for sure that there isn't like a festering abyss under the under the WWE rings because it
Yeah,
kind of makes sense when you think about it.
it does.
So our main event, Harmony,
Yay!
NXT champion Jonathan Gargano taking on the Undisputed Era's leader Adam Cole. Now, this again runs into our original theme where we were saying, feels like they just put guys together and, who are our top two guys right now? Oh, well, okay, well, Alistair's gone. Ciampa is out with an injury. Johnny's there. Shit. Well, Adam's up there. Yeah. All right. Okay. Who else? Velveteen. He's North American champion. Fuck. All right. Well, let's have him do a second match, which I'm okay with because I really dug the 2 out of 3 falls match in New York. I really, really did. And I'm looking forward to them fighting again. It's going to be cuckoo crazy. But, this is a circumstance where it's like, okay, well, I would have probably liked a story, but it doesn't matter because I'm looking forward to the match. That's my thought.
Makes sense.
I don't know about you.
I am kind of looking forward to it. I reached a point of Johnny Gargano oversaturation earlier this year, and I'm just gonna accept it. He's a great wrestler. The plot lines he was in were kind of dealt some difficult blows because of everything that happened with Champa. Like,
And Aleister Black before that,
yeah, like
when Black was injured last August. I mean, he's
right.
he's done magnificently with all the curveballs that were tossed.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, and he's a cornerstone of NXT. He's awesome. I have seen a completely bananas 45-minute Johnny Gargano match in like most of the NXT takeovers I've seen in the last year.
But he's
Like,
so good. He's
he's
so
great.
good.
You know who else is great?
Who?
Everyone else on the NXT roster. When they all could also maybe eventually at some point main event NXT takeover shows. Like, I don't know, after a certain point it's hard for me to get excited about seeing Johnny Gargano fight another super long, super intense match with another super talented guy. It's not that they're not good at their jobs. It's not that it's not exciting. It's just like I want to have another reason to care, and in this match, I really don't. Like, it's not a new story. Johnny Gargano, they're pushing him as a baby face again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Johnny Gargano, sweetheart babyface champ versus dickhead Adam Cole. I'm sure Johnny Gargano's going to look real sad for most of it. He's going to get kicked in the face a lot. Adam Cole's going to be a huge dick, and he's going to do his Adam Cole baby thing like 6 times, and everyone's going to yell it like.
Is that your prediction? 6? 6 is your prediction?
I'm predicting 6.
Okay.
Times.
Chat, let us know how many times Adam Cole is going to do the Adam Cole Bebe thing during the evening.
Yeah.
Over under 6.
Yes. I'm going to say every 7 minutes. So we'll see how long the match goes. That's my formula. But yeah, it's just like there's nothing in this match I haven't seen before. It feels like a greatest hits compilation. And I'm sure it'll be cool. I'm sure it'll be fun to watch. I really would like to see NXT do something new with that belt soon.
I think, okay. I first and foremost, I think that Johnny Gargano, to me, is currently one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. Not just one of the great, he's up there. I've said this previously. I said this on a previous TakeOver recap. I'll say it again. When people talk, he should be spoken in the same reverent tones as when we talk about Kazuchika Okada, right? He's up there. There is not a better worker in WWE right now than Johnny Gargano. He is the most consistent. He is he has the sense of drama. He is able to tell fantastic stories while being incredibly athletic and doing nut bar shit that makes us just lose our minds. For me, there is no better wrestler in WWE than Johnny Gargano. Period. So,
Okay.
he has a match. I'm excited. That's just the nature of the beast. And I don't really mind that there hasn't been much of a story here because, like I said, he's going to have a match with Adam Cole, who is another fantastic, talented guy. And we've seen it. They have great chemistry. It'll work. It's not Gargano Ciampa 4. It doesn't come in with all that gravitas, with all that, all that weight. But it's still going to be fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But I think he's losing.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. And there's a lot of people in chat who think he's losing as well.
So you think it's Adam Cole? He's going to be our next NXT champion?
I think so. And I think the reason is purely logistics. Okay. Harmony. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Who's the biggest heel in NXT right now?
Dana Baszler?
Okay. Who's the biggest male heel in NXT right now?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Warren. I don't
No, that was my bad.
Okay, that's a good question. Biggest male heel. Okay, I see your point. Yeah.
See, since Ciampa's gone, there is no monster big guy that we just really dislike because no one has been elevated to that point yet. Your only other candidate that you have currently right now, I'm not saying in 6 months from now, I'm saying right now that you can pull the trigger on, is Adam Cole. Because he is a dick. He's over for, either side, whatever. But as far, technically speaking, his character, despite the fact that people like to cheer, people like to do the Adam Cole baby, they like to do, despite all of that, he is a heel. He's Shawn Michaels. He's DX Shawn Michaels. We don't like him. We're not supposed to like him. He's, for that reason only, Johnny can't hold the belt because there has to be that heel elevated, that main event level heel that currently we don't have because no one's been put on that pedestal yet. And I think Cole is the guy to do it. And I think in the story of the evening that we're going to have as well, Roderick Strong not winning, the Undisputed Era perhaps not winning as well, things are going to be looking very doom and gloom for the Undisputed Era right up until your boy, the leader, pulls out the big win. And here's what I also think. You said it yourself. You're a little tired of Johnny Gargano as NXT champion. You know what? It's kind of like it feels like the Kenny Omega effect when Kenny finally became IWGP champion. And a lot of people were like, man, get this reign over with. This reign sucks, kind of thing. It's like, this is a bit, whoa. I think we like Johnny Gargano as a chaser as opposed to the chasee.
Yeah.
Him trying to go and reach his dreams. He's reached his dream now. We're happy for him. But then again, after that, what else is there? And it actually does beg the question. Once, because I'm pretty sure this is happening. Once Adam Cole wins, what do you do with Johnny Gargano?
I don't know. I mean, it's
in NXT. I mean,
yeah, that's kind of the problem with Johnny Gargano right now. Like, it seemed like he was going up to the main roster with Champa. That didn't happen because Champa got injured. Now Johnny Gargano is holding a belt on NXT because they're honestly just out of shit to do with him. Like that's why he's the champ right now. And I don't mean that as a
Well,
knock on Johnny Gargano. He's a fantastic wrestler, but story wise, it's like they had no choice but to give him that belt and let him
mhm.
keep it for a while. But like if he goes up to the main roster, he's going to get lost. If he stays on NXT, they're out of stuff to do with him. Like I hate to say it, but if he achieved his dream, like I don't know what the next part of his dream is. Like maybe this is the end of the dream. I don't know. That seems very dire, but
It's really interesting. Like it's like what is the next step? Does it keep going? Do we keep going forward with Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano, and like hopefully no one gets hurt and we can move into Takeover Toronto 2, which will be the next one over next with SummerSlam.
oh yeah.
Move in, move into that takeover with both guys the midst of a blood feud, and then we're really excited for Gargano Cole 3. I honestly, I'm a little perplexed in regards to what they do with Johnny. And this is why, this is a moment where often we're sitting back and we're like, "Whoa, I could book this in a minute," kind of thing.
Right.
But in this circumstance, if you do go with Adam Cole winning, you do end up with a Johnny Gargano who's kind of going to be like, "What about me?" So, what do I do next? And that's really tricky. I
Right.
really don't know what their plans going forward with him could be, and I'm kind of reassured that you're not quite sure either.
Yeah, I mean that one of the big flaws of NXT, or maybe the flaw of getting attached to wrestlers in NXT, is that there's just no coherence between NXT and the main WWE product. Like if Johnny Gargano showed up on SmackDown next week in a tag team with Lars Sullivan, I would just be like, okay, that makes as much sense as any other decision they've made about NXT wrestlers in the last year. Like, there's no. It used to feel like someone leaving NXT was a big deal. Like
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Owens debuting on the main roster from NXT was a legit big deal. Now it just feels like they'll sink months and months of developing a character and developing skills, like, and they let us watch the whole process of that NXT. We get really into these guys, and then a guy like Johnny Gargano will just kind of randomly show up on SmackDown and get his ass kicked, and then we won't see him again for 6 months.
And
Like
yeah,
no.
sorry.
Oh, sorry. We're probably just agreeing with each other at this point,
And
but
because you make an excellent point, and I just want to reinforce it because again, this is something that's crossed my mind multiple times. Someone has to explain to me the economics of this. Like if we're just going into basic money, spreadsheets and balance sheets and all the math stuff that I don't understand, that I need Kristen to help me with. You go into, you put all this money into a developmental system and into these wrestlers as well. You put money into Johnny Gargano, into his brand, into his training, and then it's a lot of money. Even though they're not making main roster money, it's still a lot of fucking money. Only to bring wrestlers like him up onto main and then just bury them and
yeah.
not use them. It just boggles my mind because it cannot be a legitimate return on investment to put so much effort with one guy, pour so much cash into him, then bring him up and just like they've done with Cedric Alexander or Buddy Murphy, like they've done with Aiden English, or the list goes on and on. There's a lot of Shinsuke Nakamura. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? It to that's it, just on a purely business aspect. I just don't understand it. I really don't.
I think the only thing that makes sense to me about it is I think WWE kind of warehouses wrestlers sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when a developer just buys up like 6 blocks in an up and coming neighborhood because they're like, this might be a brewery someday. Like, I think that's the WWE approach to signing wrestlers. Like, I don't know, this person might be a big deal someday. We'll stick them in our combine in Florida, and if they take off, great. And if not, we've got them in an ironclad contract so they can't wrestle for anyone else for the next 5 years.
And isn't that the saddest shit, right? But
It is.
and it's something. It's a very cynical view, and it's one that I try not to adhere to because I just find it so cynical, but it also makes sense. But then again, it's like what company, what business pays people to not do anything with them? Like there is no other job in the world outside of wrestling that will tell you, come sit at your desk, kick up your heels. I got nothing for you, but you're not going to work for the competition, so I'm still going to pay you full salary and benefits. It's ridiculous. It's...
Although I will point out that I don't think they actually get benefits.
Oh, well, you know what I mean. I mean benefits, like if I get benefits at work,
Yeah. I just would like to point out that wrestlers don't get benefits from WWE, and maybe they should because
That's
their
true.
entire job is to risk their bodily safety to entertain people.
Yes, or at
One,
least get some legitimate time off to rest up. Anyway,
yeah.
I say Adam Cole is winning here. There's a lot of people in the chat too who think that Adam Cole is going to win here. And even there's you in the chat, not you, but you, who says who even says that ultimately this feud feels like a segue to Matt Riddle versus Adam Cole. Feels like this entire feud is Matt Riddle versus an Undisputed Era, which isn't entirely not untrue. Roderick Strong might just be the gateway drug to the big feud. So a lot of people thinking Cole is going to make it out of this one. What do you think, Harmony?
I'll side with the chat. I think Cole's gonna take this one, though. I share your concerns for Johnny Gargano's future once he loses that belt.
Yes.
So I will say, do you think the fact they're pushing Gargano as a face makes a difference here?
You mean as far as him staying in the brand?
Or like, I don't know, just his like direction in general. Like, now that he's the babyface champ, is he going to lose the belt immediately? Is he going to keep it? Does he like lose it, but he's a good sport about it? Like, I wonder, like, does that character shift affect anything, or is it just kind of inconsequential?
No, I think that the babyface thing. Let's not forget that the feud that they were gunning for TakeOver New York was Gargano Ciampa 4, would have been number 4, and that would have been this would have been Johnny's crowning moment. This, like Gargano was meant to win the belt regardless of who he was fighting, in my opinion, of course. I'm not reporting this as fact. He was meant to win the title. This was his crowning moment. His arch nemesis finally putting him down, winning the title off of him. It just bring the story together. So of course you had to have babyface Johnny for this to win, to work. Excuse me. That's absolutely what they were going for. I think that it's like there's no point in him staying anything other than a babyface right now, because if he does lose and he does go back to chasing the title a little bit, well, you're going to get behind him. You're going to get behind him if he's a babyface, But the trick here's the tricky thing is that if he does go back and chase the title, Adam Cole is a cool heel. People like to cheer the cool heels. It could backfire on Gargano. It could, if they did want to go down this direction, I feel it could backfire. But hey.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You know what? We're going to see all of this. We're going to see this happen Saturday, tomorrow, as we're recording this live. And then we'll be able to pat ourselves on the back or say, God damn, Harmony, we were so blind to this. But I think most takeovers have shown us a good time. Yes. I think that we are going to have a great time here as well. And we're gonna wrap this up. We're the only thing that's left for us to do is to watch TakeOver tomorrow, and for you, Harmony, to tell the people out there where they can find you and your work on the internets.
Okay. Well, I'm on Twitter at Harmonopoly. I'm on Twitter way too much. So that's a pretty good way to get me.
And yeah, there's a bunch of us that do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all on there.
Uh-huh.
Also, Bell to Bells, which I write for.
It's a
So
good
I have
site.
work there. Yeah, I'm just saying they're good. Go check it out. That's probably where you can find all my wrestling stuff. Head Over Heels is coming. My podcast for Glow is coming back in August. Show starts August 3rd. We're probably going to do a season premiere or preview episode at the end of July. So if you're interested in that, please follow me on Twitter, and we'll be putting out stuff about that. And then, of course, my website is down there in the little Chiron thing, harmonycox.com. That's where all of my other writing lives. So, yeah, check me out.
Please do, Harmony. Harmony is fantastic. She always has some great insights. She often has opinions once in a while.
Nah, no, not me.
You're very
Yeah, I just go with the flow, man.
yeah, you're very very milk toast as far as your opinions go. Yeah, absolutely. I can't thank you enough, Harmony, for accepting to come and join me again on a prediction show. I love talking to you. It's always a good time, and we'll do this again, unquestionably. And of course, all of you know where to find me right here, youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. Tomorrow night, I will be joining the boys at Fightful, Sean, Alex, and Jeff, for the post show, the NXT TakeOver post show. That'll be on the Fightful channel. Otherwise, I'll be back on Monday to recap Raw and hopefully not rage too much about the wild card rule, because that's a whole other thing. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Warren Hayes and on your favorite podcast applications. Guys, gals, Harmony, thank you all so very, very much for joining me this evening, joining us, and everyone. And I'll see you next time.